Welcome everyone to the Mayhem Original. I am your host, JD, and of course that means this is my co-host, a big fan of Danhausen, the master of Merc himself.
We're recording this pre-pay-per-view, but I don't know when you'll be watching this, but I'm sure that Danhausen was victorious and that Hookhausen is moving on to glorious and wonderful things.
Yeah, the pay-per-view is what is it, this Sunday?
This Sunday, yep.
Okay, so yeah, we won't talk about that too much because we don't know how many people will actually get a chance to watch this before the pay-per-view. It's likely only to be up a couple of hours before it actually starts. So, but it's. I mean, talk about a stacked card.
It is definitely a stacked card.
I mean, there's an enormous amount of. I did not put this in the segment. Can you?
No,
we'll want to look up the card.
The card? Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll get into the card. Well, we will absolutely get into the card talking about AEW's.
Yeah, so we got a big show here for you. We're going to talk about a number of different things. But before we get into it, I want to take this moment. We're also going to include a short part of a segment that I shot with a new guest. Her name is Tori. She has her own podcasts. Tori Talks Wrestling and Tori Talks Everything, I think it is, or Tori Does Everything. Yeah, I can never remember the name of the second one. I'm sorry, Tori. I messed it up on her segment, too. So I can't remember the name of the second one. But you can check her out. And go check out that segment I shot with her and her dad. And it's going to be great. They're going to be on more frequently. They're going to be pretty regulars on the show. So we'll be seeing them more often. And likely I'll be doing some things for their podcast as well. So definitely go check that out. Give her a like. Give her a share. She does shorter episodes, 15 minutes roughly, maybe
she
a little bit
ramble
short.
On like
no, she does top 5 lists and stuff.
Yeah,
we're more of a talk discussion thing. She's more of a here's the top 5 and kind of thing like that.
Love it, great videos.
Yeah, they are excellent. Go check them out. Marcus Fredrickson, of course, plays us in, and he will play us out at the end as he always does. ReverbNation.com/Marcus Fredrickson. Of course, you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Just search Mayhem Media or Mayhem Original. Either one you will find our channel. The storefronts, bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z on the bottom of it. Get yourself some cool t-shirts. And then, of course, the sister show, bonfire.com/store/The Boiling Point Podcast. Lots of new stuff up there. Get something and support the podcast.
You're getting quick at that.
Bonfire/bio/.
Yeah, you're rattling that out
all
like
lowercase.
A freaking machine gunner.
Well, I mean, I've only done it 95 or so times at this point. So now let's get to some of the news and rumors that we're going to discuss first.
And of course, we have to start off with the biggest news in wrestling, the biggest bombshell in wrestling over the last 2 weeks. Sasha Banks and Naomi straight up walking out of Raw taping. Not only Raw taping, the tag team champions, the women's tag team champions of the WWE. Not only did they walk out of a Raw taping, they walked out of a Raw taping that they were to main event.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, with 2 other teams, it was supposed to be a big 6-man tag.
Yep,
but,
yes, it was.
But conflicting rumors, as there always are in these situations. You have the WWE stance, unprofessional, breach of contract, suspended without pay, blah blah blah. They're of course running the company spiel.
Yeah.
Whereas Sasha Banks and Naomi have been suspiciously quiet, one would say.
Suspiciously quiet, to be sure, being that the WWE has claimed what they did, and that's why they were fired.
And especially how quick the WWE came out with the press statement. This is what's really inflaming the international wrestling community is the WWE never came out with a statement when Brock threw the belt at Vince. They didn't put out a statement with the Ultimate Warrior nonsense or when Stone Cold took his ball and went home. Granted, they had The Rock bury Stone Cold the next SmackDown, but they didn't issue a press statement about it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of speculation, one would say, that they were getting ahead of a story, but then nobody really said anything. Like, Sasha and Naomi have been very quiet. There was one gentleman on Twitter who was a verified close friend of Naomi's. He's been seen in many pictures with her, been throughout the country, with her. He is a certified 100% verified close friend of hers. He put up quite a long tweet thread about pretty much speaking about everything that everybody has said about WWE, that their storylines were going nowhere, that they were not set to defend their tag team belts until Money in the Bank, which at that point was a pay-per-view and a half away. They were to pretty much spend the next couple of months jobbing to the different women's champions and the different up and comers like Dewdrop and the other
to try and put over. That's what WWE likes to do. They even when they build a star. Then that
a star the level of Sasha Banks. We just spoke in the last episode what a superstar Sasha Banks is. Naomi is not quite. She's not a Sasha Banks, but she is good.
She's good.
She's a superstar. She has a very, very vocal, very big following. She's not. I wouldn't put her on the superstar level of Sasha Banks is. Like Sasha Banks is bloodline. Like she's a Fatu.
Yeah. I mean, Sasha Banks is that like rock stratosphere, that Stone Cold stratosphere.
Very much.
But Naomi is that.
She was getting there. Like another couple of years,
and she's got that following. She reminds me of kind of like a Mick Foley, like the way she performs in the ring, and she's not bad on the mic. Like her character, her speaking skills
Absolutely
and stuff are not bad.
The women overall in
following that builds her up.
The women overall in WWE, I mean, almost not surprisingly, with the exception of the champions, has been one of the bright spots in WWE as of late. The women's division is WWE is absolutely stacked.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Well, they're starting to lose it now.
Maybe not anymore. I mean, they're still stacked, but losing Sasha Banks is, I mean, and Naomi both, but losing Sasha Banks is a big hit to the women's division in WWE, and I think there's a story here. I don't know if they're...
Yeah.
The cynical person in me says they're shopping the story. They're going to all the major wrestling podcasts, seeing who's willing to pay for the story. The hopeful in me is just hoping they're waiting out their WWE contract. They want to negotiate in good faith to get out from underneath their contracts so they can move on with their careers. Because as far as I know, they are both under still some long-term WWE contracts, and as of right now, they are suspended without pay.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. I didn't even think about that. Maybe they're keeping their mouths shut just so that they can try and make some kind of amicable split with WWE.
I mean, because as of right now,
as amicable as it can be at this point, they did walk out. Credit to them for not taking the titles, for not just walking out with the titles.
They handed the titles to John Laurinaitis, who is
I heard they did differently, but yes, handed John Laurinaitis
the titles. That's WWE. That is again, nothing official has come except from WWE's side, which makes this whole thing like you're not 100% sure because all we have is the WWE version of events.
And we know that they like to paint things in their own light.
Oh, absolutely. They always are the shining heroes, standing beacon on the top of the hill, defending everything. They are the WWE. I would now, if it comes to are they AEW bound, again, their contracts, from what I understand, are at least a year. Like it'll be some time before anything happens with either of them, unless they are able to reach some sort of agreement to be released from WWE. If as soon as they're available, I think it's nothing but absolutely. If I'm Tony Khan, I pick them up. I mean, well, we're going to get into this a little bit later in the episode. The AEW roster is very, very bloated, one might say right now. But I think you absolutely.
I don't think I have a. I mean, the women's roster is getting larger, but I don't think the women's roster is not bloated.
The roster overall in general is very
the
fat.
AEW roster, but yes, and
we'll get into that. But
in a little bit.
I do not see a situation where a Sasha Banks and a Naomi are anything but helpful to AEW or to any.
I just don't want to see them go
organization they go to.
I just don't want to see them go in and have them immediately hand Sasha Banks one of the titles. I don't like how
AEW has never done that.
I was concerned that they were going to do it with CM Punk. I'm glad that they haven't done it yet. Maybe this Sunday. We could see.
We'll get into that, but yeah, that's my prediction. We'll get into the pay-per-view predictions.
I am glad that there was that they didn't do that. Like, I'm glad when a WWE superstar comes in, they're not immediately giving them titles.
AEW has never done that with the exception of Chris Jericho. And I wouldn't say that Chris Jericho came in. He was part of a tournament to crown the first AEW champion.
Yeah.
He came in the first round of the tournament and fought the whole way through the tournament for that belt.
And he also left WWE because he was unhappy.
And, I mean, he did spend some time in New Japan before he went to AEW.
Exactly.
So it's not like he came directly from WWE to AEW. He spent like a year or even maybe longer in New Japan before going to AEW, before AEW even started.
And I think giving Jericho the belt, the first title reign, is
the smartest,
was
one
a
of the
good
greatest
thing to do.
moves.
Yeah,
they got a little bit of prestige and name and word of mouth. People hear, oh, Chris Jericho's in AEW, he's the world champion? Shit, I gotta turn that on and see what's going on.
We're going to talk about some stuff later, but what do you think about AEW not having repeat world champions at this point?
I think that's a good thing right now. I think there's, like we said, the roster is very, very large. I do think that, I mean, eventually it'll happen, and if I had to put my money, It'd be either Mox or Omega, 50-50 bet either way.
I think I would agree with that assessment also. And I think it's also good that they haven't had repeat champions. I also wanted to just point this out, and I might forget later if I don't say it now, but it's been a long time since I was watching wrestling and who the world champion was or what he was doing was not the center stage. AEW has got so many different and good stories going right now that Hangman Adam Page is almost getting lost in the shuffle. He's the champion, and he's almost getting like his story. He's building up with CM Punk, and that's a nice build up. They're starting to work something. I have no doubt that the match this Sunday is going to be great.
Classic.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. But there's been a lot of different stuff. Jericho and everything going on with the Inner Circle and his new stable. The Undisputed All Elite because the All Elite had to because Kenny Omega got injured,
very injured. We'll get into Kenny Omega.
There's been a lot happening. There's been a lot happening, and what Hangman Page, what the champion is doing or got going on, has not been my main concern. I'm more interested in some of the other stuff going on than who the champion is at the moment.
I agree with you on a lot of levels on what you're saying there. I would disagree that Hangman and Punk have gotten lost in the shuffle. I think they're working a great program together now.
No, not their storyline, just Hangman Page being the champion. Before he got with CM Punk and started doing this, he's had some good matches, but not really a good...
Yeah, he had that whole program with Adam Cole that he just finished up, which I thought was really, really good stuff. Adam Cole pulled off a stealing the belt, which, again, I'm not a huge big fan of, but, he made it work. Before that, he had a banger of a Texas death match with freaking Lance Archer.
But not really... But, yeah, good matches, but not really good stories, not really good... his story has not been... the main thing. There's been other people that are putting on a better story than what Hangman Page, whatever they've been trying to do with Hangman Page as the champion.
There definitely hasn't been a long-term feud with him as champion. He's been putting on good matches and defending it. I think they're working more of he's willing to take on all comers. He's a defending champion. He will defend the belt against whoever and whatever. He gave freaking Adam Cole 3 shots. I think that was a little bit too much to work a 3 title set match with Adam Cole. I didn't think you needed all that.
And that's the other thing. And he also did 2 against Bryan Danielson.
Which, again, both of those matches are still contenders for my match of the year. Now, I'm very biased because I was there to watch one of them in person.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very biased, but both of those matches are match of the year's contenders.
I'm a harsh critic of the Iron Man match. I'm a harsh critic of the Iron Man match. No,
absolutely fantastic matches.
No, I don't
absolutely.
think so.
It's Bryan Danielson at the height of his career. It's you get Adam Page just coming into the title. He's coming fresh off the win off Omega. He's got to prove himself as champion. I thought, honestly, the feud with Danielson is, in my opinion, the best stuff that Hangman's done with that belt since he's got it. The stuff with Archer was very much just a middling middling somebody. They needed something to do with him for a week or two. And I will absolutely agree with you that Hangman hasn't had the best stories on AEW. AEW has a lot of story threads going on, and it's not always about what the champion is doing.
But he had such a great story to become the champion. That's my other thing. He had such a great story to become the champion. And as soon as and I get, he's a fighting champion, taking on all comers. But he got, while they were trying to make that work, he got lost with some of the other good storylines that were happening around him.
See, and I think a little bit of the problem is also that he faced a lot of the people on his road to become champion that we wanted to see him be champion.
A tournament is a perfect opportunity after someone becomes champion to bring out somebody from the tournament to say, you shouldn't have won. That writes itself, man.
I think, and since we're talking about this, I think no matter what happens on Sunday at the pay-per-view, either way, AEW is golden. But I honestly think Hangman drops the belt to Punk.
To Punk, yeah.
I think Punk takes the belt.
Yeah,
I think we see a heel turn from Punk. I think we get heel Punk because every time Punk has got the belt, he's gone heel. I don't think. I would have to go back and rewatch. It's been a minute since I watched through the E.
Let's face it, CM Punk is a heel. The only reason he was cheered in AEW is because he was another get from WWE.
No, I won't say he was another get from WWE. It was because the crowd, especially because they brought him back in Chicago. CM Punk is an amazing wrestler.
Yeah.
He's an amazing wrestler.
He's not bad.
And you can't say that he was a get from WWE. If anything, he was a get from the UFC because that's the last one he worked for. He was out for 7 years. How long does someone have to be out from the WWE before it's no longer remember get.
Okay, all
from
right.
the
So
WWE.
it was the get from the WWE in that.
It
sense.
was a big name superstar,
yeah.
and honestly, I would argue that CM Punk did his best work outside of WWE.
I would
Ring
argue
of
that
Honor,
too.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I would argue that too.
Like CM Punk has done all of his best work outside of the WWE.
But he didn't become as popular until he hit the WWE. The WWE, when you're a star in the Indies, and then look, AJ Styles, same thing. All right. And even Adam Cole, when Adam Cole joined AEW, he got that extra notoriety from being in the WWE.
He wasn't in the WWE, he was in NXT.
In NXT. Same difference. WWE, NXT is the same company. And thank you, shout out again for Tori, who and her dad Matt, who pointed out to me I did not know that the Undisputed Elite was a throwback to the Undisputed. That in NXT, I did not know
Era,
that.
I believe they called themselves, or maybe it was just Undisputed.
Yeah, I think they were just the Undisputed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I did not know that. That's what Tori filled me in on that, so I appreciate that.
Again, I didn't watch as much NXT or as I should have, but I have gone back and tried to educate myself on their greatest hits as best I could.
Yeah, they do
the Black and Gold brand when it was Triple H and Shawn having free roam. The Black and Gold brand was good stuff, man. It was good stuff. That's why nobody ever wanted to be called up to Raw.
All right, let's move on to something else here. Ric Flair wants to have one last match.
No, for the love of.
Yeah, I'm with my pal Merc on this one. I think I would love to see Ric Flair back in wrestling. Bring him into the AEW.
No,
but he does not. Yes, he does, but he doesn't need to be in the ring. He doesn't need to be wrestling anymore. There's no reason he can't be a manager to somebody like Tully is doing, like Arn has done. Ric Flair is Snake Roberts. There's no reason Ric Flair can't be the mouthpiece for someone who's not good at speaking.
Ric Flair is 137 years old, all right?
But he doesn't need to be wrestling. But there's no reason he can't be a mouthpiece.
No, I'm with you. Yes, he should not be getting back into the ring.
No.
Did you hear they're talking to Hogan? They're trying to get Hogan to be the one he comes and has the match against.
And I said the wrong thing.
Because Steamboat turned him down.
Yeah,
originally they wanted.
I said the wrong thing in the Tory segment. I think I said Jimmy Snuka, and then I corrected myself. I said no, that's not right. But I couldn't remember the name.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They were trying to get Steamboat to come out of retirement.
He declined because he was happy with his last match, and he didn't want to be.
He didn't want to wrestle a 97-year-old Ric Flair.
He doesn't want to wrestle again. He doesn't want to wrestle again. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is
his last match was gold. His last match was a good match.
He's never going to wrestle again. He likes his final match that he had with WWE. You know, at the end they were chanting "You still got it," and that's how he wants to go out.
He put on a great last match.
And
like
that's
that was
how he
a
wants to go
great
out.
match. Like that was a really good match. You can't ask for a better last. That was the last match Taker was chasing for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, last I heard, they were trying to talk to Hogan and get Hogan to come back to be Flair's last match, but Hogan is like his back and hips and everything are so fucked. Like
for just a second, listen. Why are they talking to these guys? Why are they not talking to the guy they already have? Why are they not talking to Sting? Ric Flair and Sting have main evented more Nitros than any other pair in all of WCW history. They headlined, they main evented the first Nitro. No. Of course, Ric Flair shouldn't be wrestling anybody.
No,
let's just
and you have to ask yourself, would Sting want to be in that match? Knowing what shape and what condition Ric Flair is in.
I think if anybody is
would Sting be like, yeah, okay, I'll have that match?
I think if anybody could help Flair have one last great match, if there's anybody that could help Flair have one last great match, it would be the Stinger.
I mean, you're not wrong there. Nobody knows him as well as Sting does.
They both could do another match in their sleep.
I mean, that is a fair point. But at
the same time, we've seen Sting and Flair hundreds of times. Do we need one more between them?
One more when they're both like.
We know what they're going to do. Ric Flair's going to chop his chest. Sting's going to walk him down. Sting's going to throw him into the ropes. Do a gorilla press slam. Ric Flair's going to then climb the top rope. Sting's going to gorilla press him, slam him off there. Then Ric Flair's going to chop him at the knee.
But after the gorilla press slam, he's going to stand up and then immediately fall on his face. But he might not be able to do that bump anymore is what I'm saying. Ric Flair is 97 years old. He's had how many heart attacks? Exactly. He's had strokes.
Especially after his last
he was in the hospital for like 6 weeks last time. People were getting RIPs ready for him. Ric Flair is in not great condition.
And listen, that video that he posted on his social media of asking, "Can I still get it done?" I can't remember who it was against, who was in the ring with him. helping him. I can't remember who it was. But yeah. Did he look good in the ring? He absolutely did for a man that's 125 years old. He looked amazing in the ring for his age. That does not mean he looks amazing in the ring. Like doesn't mean he looks amazing in the ring. He looks amazing in the ring for a guy who's 77 years old.
I give him all credit in the world for getting back into the gym, for working. Like, he's in probably better shape than I am, like buff-wise, muscle-wise. But like, Ric Flair is a treasured elder. Like, I really don't know if Flair should be getting back in there. I'm worried. I'm honestly worried. I'm worried he's going to take a bump the wrong way. He's going to break something or hurt something, and he's not going to be able to come back from this one. Like, he hasn't been in the ring.
Is that what he's looking for? Is he looking to go out in the ring, Merc? Listen,
I don't want to put that on anybody. I don't fucking know, honestly.
He's never had his final farewell, except for maybe against Michaels. The match against Shawn Michaels was amazing.
The perfect end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love you. Super kick. WrestleMania. You can't ask for a better end.
That was an amazing match.
Like, that is it. You go out on that. It was Flair was on the top of everything he could be for what condition he was in. And Flair was in bad condition at that point.
And he did amazing
multiple
in that
surgeries.
Yeah, he did amazing in that match.
He pulled it out. He did it, and it was a great match. It's a classic. I would recommend anyone going back to.
Yeah, for real.
I'm sorry. I love you. You could see the tears in Michael's eyes before he does the super kick. Like,
yeah, it was a great match.
Why would you give that up?
Yeah,
why would you give that up to come back? How many years later for a match that's going to go down as a joke?
Exactly.
And an indie promotion.
And also, when your other buddies are there, I mean, listen, Ric Flair has outlived so many of his wrestling companions. It's astonishing how many of his friends that have died before he has, right? Okay? He has a chance now to be back in the same company as Arn Anderson and Tully, in a company that would not only embrace a return of the Four Horsemen to some degree, but would promote it and push it to be what the Horsemen used to be. Don't you think? What's your opinion on that? That's what I would do if I'm Tony Khan. Flair wants to come in.
That was the plan. That was the plan. And then that Dark Side of the Ring episode came out.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't get to see the Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh, you gotta watch.
I know. I've heard about it, but I have not had the time to sit and watch it. What am I missing?
Do you know the plane ride from Hell story?
Yes.
They did a full-on Dark Side of the Ring episode from that, and it blew up in Flair's face because instead of coming out and apologizing, he doubled down.
Well, that's what... Yeah, well, Flair always doubles down.
Yeah, I know, and not in today's society. And, like, that really slowed down or possibly killed any deal going on with AEW. Like, there are rumors that they're just waiting for the heat to die down.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that.
Do you need to go back and look? I mean, the Dark Side of the Ring episode was like Flair did some fucked up shit. Like, I'm not defending Flair in any way. He did some really fucked up shit. They paid. I mean, granted, this was settled in court. This has been a long dead for decades ago. Like, and everybody knows who the fuck Ric Flair is.
Yeah,
nobody has ever been like questionable about who Ric Flair is. He tells you in his promos exactly who the fuck he is.
And let's be clear that this happened 40 some years ago. And let's also be clear that the story
40 some years ago.
The story has been.
Ago.
Yeah, it's 2020. That happened in the 80s.
Oh, shut up, man. Jesus. Okay, 40 years ago.
40, yeah. So it happened 35 to 40 years ago. And
he apologized.
The story has been out for decades.
Yes.
No, this is not new. It's not like we uncovered something new about the story.
It might have not been new to you and I, but it was new to an entire new generation of wrestling fans who had never heard the story, let alone heard it dramatized in a Dark Side of the Ring episode. You know how they do. They over-dramatized everything and got freaking hit piece interviews from that is absolutely the reason why. I mean, this is not me telling you my opinion. This is me telling you why Ric Flair's deal with AEW fell through.
Oh, I thought it was still happening, and they just didn't do it.
No, this is me telling you exactly why Ric Flair's. Like, I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you why.
I didn't know Ric Flair. Like, I didn't know that they stopped
because Andrade is married to Charlotte. Andrade El Idolo is Charlotte's husband. Like, Ric Flair in WWE in AEW was a thing. He was in AAA with Andrade, and they were planning like 3 or 4 weeks later Flair was going to be on AEW.
I also think
they put all of that on the kibosh because Ric Flair is a little bit problematic right now.
Well, I would. I think that's a bad decision.
I mean, I agree. Especially, it's been so long ago. They settled it in court. She was paid. There was a lawsuit. Like, she forgave him.
It's all over.
It's over. It's over.
It's over.
It was a settled issue. I don't even know why Vice brought the whole thing up again in a Dark Side of the Ring. But I mean, that's what they do on the Dark Side of the Ring. They bring up the dredges of wrestling history.
Yeah,
and
they like to bring up the darkest moments and
at the same time they were also at the same time. Again, I'm not defending anybody. None of the people involved in it defended themselves very well. Ric Flair did not come out and me culpa. I'm sorry. He kind of doubled down and was an asshole about all of it. Like, Tommy Dreamer came out and said some fucked up shit. Like, he lost his freaking spot on the podcast with Bully Ray for like a month and a half, 2 months before he came back again. Like, there was a little bit of fallout for that because there were some people saying some shit, and like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that happened on a story that people have known about for decades.
But there's a whole generation of new wrestling fans that didn't know about it.
That's their own ignorant fault, not mine and not theirs either. It's a story that's been out. Just because they didn't know about it doesn't make it new.
At the same time, I also understand Tony Khan's optic. He's got to answer to Warner Media now. Like, is Warner Media going to want that heat?
Now, see, that's the bet. That is the best point I think you've made on the Ric Flair issue.
I mean, anything having to go with AEW, you have to.
Right.
I mean, they have Warner Media contracts. They're trying to get an HBO Max deal.
I agree with you on that. On that side, on the fact that they're on Warner Media. I didn't think about that side. So yes, on that side, I would agree with you a little bit. If anything, we could see Ric Flair coming back in the. We would see Ric Flair in the Ring of Honor before. I mean, maybe for a while. Again, a lot of this has died down. This has been like last year. This happened, so like the heat has died down a little bit. Let's assume.
So we might still see Ric Flair, but I don't know if we'll see it sooner rather than later. It might be a little bit yet.
Let's assume for a minute that it all blows over and they get Ric Flair into AEW. Okay.
Oh yeah.
With Ric Flair, Arn, and Tully, would you like to see them, the three of them, kind of form a new Horseman stable?
I mean, what else do you do?
And pass kind of a passing of the torch.
What else do you do? With them? Absolutely.
Now who?
Brock Anderson is about the only person I can think of off the top of my head who is absolutely in it without any sort of question.
I don't think I know him. In AEW? Brock Anderson?
Yeah, he's been all over. He's Arn's son. If you don't watch Rampage, like, you might not...
I watched Dynamite. I've been watching Dynamite.
Yeah,
is he new? Did he just come on in the last, week?
No, he was there, like... I think he debuted right after the crowds came back.
I'm gonna have to go back and look. I don't
he's
know
good,
him.
man. He's good. He's got his old man's body style. He's got his old man's looks. He looks like a young, maybe slightly more buff Arn Anderson.
So you're thinking piece one together, not like maybe pick a stable or a section of a stable that's already
absolutely. You piece one together. You take Brock Anderson.
I'd put FTR.
FTR, yeah, absolutely FTR. But who's your Ric Flair then? Who's the Ric Flair of the group?
I mean, honestly,
absolute Ricky Starks.
Yes, I could see him doing it.
He's charismatic.
I could see him doing it. I was also thinking. I think as long as he was willing to, I think MJF would be good in the role. As long as he was willing.
Fucking hate MJF.
He would have to have a little bit of a character shift because we can't have a Horseman. Listen, the worst possible thing that they could happen, that they make a new 4 Horsemen. And then the only job that they have is to keep whoever the designated guy is Pinnacle as champion.
I mean, that's what happens if you put MJF in the New Horseman. They become the new Pinnacle.
See, he would have to change that part of his. He couldn't just be the stable serves his
MJF. I hate MJF, and it's not like I hate MJF because of the heel. I hope that MJF goes to WWE so that I don't have to see him anymore. I dislike
I think we're about to have the reverse conversation that we're about to have later about me and Kenny Omega. Why I think MJF is an amazing heel. I think he's the best heel AEW has.
He doesn't wrestle.
You're absolutely right, which is what the best heel always never wrestles.
No, the best heels wrestle. The best heels wrestle and they beat their opponents and they beat them down.
Have you seen the NWO?
Yes.
Hulk Hogan barely defended that thing once a month.
You're saying MJF is Hulk Hogan?
No, but I'm saying that's what heels do. Ric Flair was the same
that's
way
what
when
Hulk Hogan does.
Ric Flair was the same
and
way.
That's
when
one
he
of the
was
reasons I hated Hulk Hogan in the NWO and having that championship.
Ric Flair was the same way when he was the champion. He did not defend it every week. He barely wrestled and defended it once a month. He built a story.
They would do tag matches. He would do other things. MJF does not wrestle. MJF
is he injured?
No,
he's not injured or anything.
He just doesn't wrestle. MJF does not wrestle. That is my number one thing.
It has been.
He hasn't wrestled since he wrestled Punk, and he won't wrestle until he wrestles Wardlow at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you're all right
MJF
about that.
does not wrestle unless it's a pay-per-view, and honestly, I hate that. I hate a wrestler who does not fucking wrestle, because then all he's doing is a soap opera character. MJF is a soap opera character.
Is that by design then?
Or? I have no idea, but I hope MJF.
But you don't like it.
I don't like it, and I hope MJF goes to WWE so that he can work that WWE house show schedule.
No.
So that he can work. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins have faced 20 times since Cody Rhodes has won. Cody Rhodes has won every single one of them.
Oh, against Seth Rollins?
20 in a row. Cody Rhodes has wrestled Seth Rollins 20 times between Raws, pay-per-views, and everything, and house shows, the schedule they've got Cody on. He has wrestled Seth Rollins 20 times and beaten him every single time.
Well,
that's what Cody Rhodes left AEW.
That's why
for.
he left. Yeah, that's why he left. They finally were gonna be the man. Which, if you're WWE,
dude, that's not good. That's not good. He beat Seth Rollins 20 times. Like, how many times are you gonna face Seth Rollins?
No, it's not good for the company. It's not good for Seth Rollins.
It's not good for Cody Rhodes.
But if they're pushing him as the man, that's what he's always wanted. Listen, that's what I'm saying. Does Cody Rhodes? I don't think Cody Rhodes cares at this point whether he's the man at a good company or a bad or not. He just wants
to be the man.
He just wants to be the man. And even if the WWE is considered a bad company now, and there's lots of arguments you could make that it is, they still own all of the history of professional wrestling.
Listen, that Dusty documentary was a big part of the reason why he went back and signed that contract.
And if he has a chance to hold the WWE title, he's absolutely going to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think he beats Roman. I think Cody beats Roman. I think they're building it up to I think Cody's the one who dethrones Roman. I think they do Rock versus Roman at Mania, and then they start building Cody to dethrone Roman. I mean, especially because Roman's already signed another deal. Like, Roman's pretty much a part-timer all but at this point.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he drops those belts, we're not going to see Roman for a while.
I think so, too. Especially they're doing the family thing where they're all champions. And they all
the whole bloodline thing.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they wanted to do right now.
But they're not competing against anybody, so it doesn't matter. It's a hollow thing. All right, so do you want to talk? Do you want to take our intermission now, or do you want to talk about?
No, I think we should. I think we're on a good roll here. I think we should continue.
Then we're going to move on now, and
we're going to go back. We're going to touch back on an issue that we spoke about
on one of the other episodes.
Which just briefly, something we said we were going to come back and retouch on, and this is the time, I think, to retouch on it. Gunner, I want to hear why you don't like Kenny Omega. I want you to explain to me your issue with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but I want to do Kenny Omega and then we'll do the Bucks later. Specifically, I would like to hear your beef with Kenny.
I think Kenny can get it done in the ring. He's a wrestler. He's definitely a wrestler. My problem with Kenny is I think it's going to be more as that when he's a face. I don't buy him as a good guy. I don't buy him. His whole some of his in the ring, some of his motions that he does, like the V trigger, the way he points and the way he does it all. It's so
you cannot escape.
Yeah, it's so over the top to me. It's so over the top. I don't know why. It just feels like he's trying so hard to be this cool guy.
I mean, we grew up on Ultimate Warrior and Macho Savage, and you're calling Kenny Omega over the top?
I buy it from them. That's what I'm saying. I can't quite put my finger on exactly why I hate Kenny Omega. I just don't like his whole good guy thing, the whole point.
But you like him as a bad guy.
As a bad guy, when they turned right before Kenny Omega lost the belt to.
He was a bad guy. He turned when he got the belt.
Yeah. Yes. Through that whole time with the Young Bucks, when they turned heel, I thought that was the most that I had liked Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks since I started watching WWE. I think they play spoiled brats and pompous, arrogant jerks. As good as The Rock.
I mean, and I'll agree with you. I honestly think the Elite are better when they're the bad guys.
Yeah, I just don't buy them as good guys. I don't.
Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega is better as a bad guy. I actually like the Bucks as good guys.
No, I don't like the Bucks at all. As bad guys, I like to hate them. Like, I like to boo the crap out of them. I think they play excellent bad guys.
You don't like the Bucks at all.
No.
Someone who is a big fan of the Hardy Boys as you are.
I think the Young Bucks are the poor man Hardys.
I mean, I would definitely disagree with that. And again, I would say a big portion of that, and maybe
Sorry,
not a
Tori.
big portion of it. Maybe not a big portion of it. I'm with you, Tori, here, all right? I think a big part of the reason why you think that, why you feel that way about the Young Bucks, and even maybe a little bit why you feel that way about Kenny Omega is because you haven't seen all of their stuff. You've seen their AEW stuff. You haven't seen any of their Ring of Honor work. You haven't seen
really
any of
that
their New
different?
Japan work. Yes.
All of their AEW
New
work
Japan
looks exactly the same.
New Japan is completely different. It is a completely different system. And honestly, Ring of Honor it was a different beast in of its own. Like, the Code of Honor and the way that they did things in Ring of Honor made things a little bit different. But
they're amazing high flyers. They jump up the top rope. They do that high flying stuff, and then in the ring, what do? They super kick you. If they're not high flying, they're doing a super kick.
I mean, no, not always.
And how many times can you super kick somebody in a match, Merc? How many times can you do that? No, you can't.
Lot.
No, because Shawn Michaels used to do it once, and that was the end.
Well, Shawn Michaels does it perfectly. Nobody is saying that
if
the
Young
Bucks
have not
Michaels
perfected the super kick after the 895 super kicks I've seen them do in 6 months in AEW, they should not be doing the super kick anymore.
I mean, the real reason is because the match is choreographed out. But the
real
reason
is
that Shawn Michaels is just like why nobody else beats anybody with a DDT, but Jake the Snake does it. The kayfabe reason.
I'm sorry.
The kayfabe. How many DDTs do you see every fucking episode? Like, it is the same thing that you're saying.
No, it's not. How many times do you see one person DDT another person in the same match? That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about taking someone's finisher and establishing it as a wrestling maneuver. We're talking about taking someone's finisher and making it the only maneuver you do in the ring. A super kick five times in a match.
That is absolutely not the only thing they do. We need to sit down and you know what? We were just a little peek behind the screen. We were just talking about the new segment where we go back and rewatch through matches and commentate. We are going to go back and watch some of the best of the Young Bucks matches.
Hold on.
You're going to,
and that's fine. We'll do the Young Bucks.
Nick Jackson has got massive amounts of skill on the mat. He is by no means a William Regal. He's by no means a Dean fucking Malenko.
Do you deny that you've never seen the Young Bucks?
He does a Michinoku driver just as well as I've seen anybody do it.
Do you deny seeing the Young Bucks super kick 4 or more times in a match?
No, 4 is being conservative.
That's what I'm saying.
4 is being very conservative. Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Penta El Zero Romero does the same thing. Do you have issues with Penta?
He does not do 4 in a match.
He can. Yes, the fuck he can.
No, he does those. They look like, some of them look like super kicks, but they're not actual super kicks.
Oh, come on, don't play this with super kick. Really,
they
super
like
kick,
super
heel
kicks.
kick. There's a big difference there.
Yes, no, that's why they have different names. It's like saying a body slam and a gorilla press slam are the same move. Of course they're not. They're different moves. They're different moves. And I don't like when there are some people who do too many of the insiguris. I'm not a fan of people that do insiguris 3 or 4 times in a match.
Pulled off a really bad insiguri.
Oh my God!
Did you see that? Oh, you saw that, didn't you? That match against Daniel Garcia. Oh my God, Eddie Kingston pulled off the worst insiguri. Listen, I'm a huge fan, Eddie. I doubt you'll ever see this, Eddie Kingston, but if you do, man, I got nothing but love for you, dude. You are one of my favorites. I love to watch you go out there and do it.
You're a brawler. There's a reason you're a brawler.
Man, don't do an enziguri, especially if you're going to do an enziguri, do it earlier in the match, Holmes.
There's a reason you're a brawler, Eddie Kingston. There's a reason you're a brawler, and you're
love
good
you
at
as
it.
a brawler.
And
yeah, you're good at it. You're so good at it.
You're so good at it, okay? And if you want to do wrestling maneuvers, I have no doubt that there are a number of wrestling maneuvers you could do effectively, and they would be perfect. A body slam comes to mind. A vertical suplex. Please don't ever do an enziguri again.
I'm glad you saw that. I didn't know if you would watch that Rampage or not. Oh my!
Please don't ever do it again.
Oh, me and Andrew were watching it just while we were eating dinner tonight, and I'm telling you, man, because Andrew, he's just became a wrestling fan when we got together.
We're gonna try and get him on one of the episodes.
My husband Andrew will absolutely be joining us in an episode soon. But he's a very fresh wrestling fan. Like, I'm still very much like teaching him the ins and outs of the business and like the wrestling and passing on all the knowledge. That enziguri happened as we were eating dinner. We both stopped and just immediately looked at each other and busted up laughing. Yeah. Just immediately we had to pause the match because we had to.
No, it was no good.
Eddie. Eddie. Again, much love, Eddie. Love you to death, bro. Like, seriously, but damn, man.
But anyway, let's get back to what we were saying there. We got off on a little tangent. But yeah, Kenny Omega
and the Bucks
as heels, fine. I bring them in as heels. I think that's good. And I understand that people like to cheer them. I don't get it. What do the Young Bucks do? They're like the poor man's Hardys. They do high-flying off-the-top rope moves. They do super kicks. They do a couple of moves okay.
They do tandem moves. They do tandem tag team offense better than we've seen anybody do it in a long time. But you've got to remember, for a long time there, the Hardys weren't together.
Yes,
like the Young Bucks and WWE tanked on its tag team division. Absolutely does not give a shit about its tag team division. The Young Bucks kept tag team wrestling alive. There are absolutely matches in New Japan and Ring of Honor without the Young Bucks. Like, tag team wrestling is a lot further behind than it is right now. The Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, what's that New Japan? The Guerrilla Tactics.
What is it?
There's a couple of, and there's the Bullet Club in New Japan. Like, without the Young Bucks and to a certain extent Kenny Omega, like, helping keep that tag team wrestling alive in the Indies and in New Japan and in Ring of Honor, like, tag team wrestling is so much further behind than it is right now in the limelight, like, in the public. Like, AEW started with such a strong tag division because of the Young Bucks.
They are. Listen, I'm just not a fan. I think if you're gonna have them, you got to make them heels. Although, I mean, people like to cheer them. So how do you argue too much?
And I understand, but like, I think calling them the poor man's Hardys is doing them a vast disservice. Again,
I'm calling you the poor man Hardys. Reach out. You can find me on Twitter at Mayhem.
Oh no, they've cut several promos about people that call them the poor man's Hardys. Like, they're well aware of the comparison, and they
if the Young Bucks
how they feel about it.
If the Young Bucks ever cut a promo on me, I will put on the face paint and cut a promo right back. Okay.
I mean, again, we're coming up on the pay-per-view. You're talking about it. You know, at the pay-per-view, what's the match we're getting? The Young Bucks versus the Hardy Brothers. Like, we're gonna see that.
I think that's going to be a good match, and I think it's the Hardy Boys are going to lift the Young Bucks to heights that they have not likely seen.
I think they're
going to
lift each other. I think they're going to lift each other. I have respect for the Young Bucks. I'm a fan of the Young Bucks, both as heels and as faces.
And do you know why they're called the Young Bucks?
Both of them. I think they're going to lift each other up.
Do you know why they're called the Young Bucks?
I mean, they're not quite so young anymore, but I mean, no.
Apparently, with their original gimmicks, their last name were Bucks.
Oh.
So they were called the Young Bucks.
Interesting.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. Tori's mom told me that. She brought that up during our segment, so shout outs to Tori and her dad and her mom for giving me some information that I didn't even have.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
But yes, they are no longer the Young Bucks. They're definitely getting to be the older Bucks.
They've got a timer on them, just like every other wrestler does.
In about 7 years, they're going to be the elder Bucks.
I mean, in Kenny Omega, going back to touching on Kenny Omega before we take our intermission here, Kenny Omega was doing all that stuff from the time before he won the belt. That whole title reign, he was doing that with vertigo. He was doing that with ruptured discs. Like, he was injured severely.
And let's talk about how stupid that is.
I mean, I don't think it's...
Because I hear now he's not coming back as soon as he was hoping because his injuries are taking longer.
He's effed. He's effed in the A. It's going to be a while before we see Kenny Omega again.
Yeah, which we're going to have to talk later about who's getting the six-man tag titles, because that's what they were waiting on.
How prodigious is that run that he went on, knowing that he did all that with all those injuries?
I think his world title run added value to the championship. I think that doing it as a heel gave him, I think, even more credibility.
Him and Don Callis. Oh, I loved booing him and Don Callis.
Yeah, I loved when he was rolling in heel. I loved booing the All Elite there with the dude who kept spraying the grease on them and
Brandon Cutler.
Yeah, I mean, like that dude. That was gold.
I love Brandon Cutler's heel. Love Brandon Cutler's dude.
Yeah, that is pure heel gold what they were doing, and that's the first time that I actually liked what they were doing, was when I was like, all right, fine, you're doing something.
So you like him as heels, you're not a big fan of him as faces. I can definitely understand that.
Kenny Omega is just too over the top as a face. I don't buy it as a face. As a heel, you can be over the top, and it doesn't ruin the character. It adds to it in some respects if you're good at it. And as a face, you can't be over the top, and his arm, it just everything. The way he would point to his, everything from the way he would point to Everything. I didn't get any of it. I didn't buy any of it.
I will fully admit that I didn't get any of it at first, but after a while it grew on me, especially once I went back and watched a bunch of his New Japan. Kenny Omega really put on his best matches in New Japan. He's got a lot of good matches in AEW. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's a really great champion. I'm a big fan of his. But I think, honestly, his best matches were his stuff in New Japan. Like, when he was in his prime, pre-injuries, when Kenny was young,
he can wrestle. Yeah, he can wrestle, man.
Wrestler.
He can wrestle.
All
it's
right,
not his wrestling problem. It's not his wrestling that I have a problem with. It's his
character and his gimmick.
Yeah, I can't buy him as a face. I don't
see, and he did bring a lot of the character and the gimmick from his time in New Japan. When we say Chris Jericho spent a lot of time in Japan, Kenny Omega lived in Japan. He speaks fluent Japanese. Kenny Omega spent decades in Japan. He's got a lot of that Japanese style. So a lot of his characteristics, a lot of his mannerisms, a lot of the way his character is, that over-the-topness is over as fuck
in Japan.
Kenny Omega sold out the Tokyo Dome with that over-the-topness.
If you have not seen Japan wrestling or New Japan Pro Wrestling, it is Kenny Omega and what he does. Like, I will concede that point. His mannerisms and everything that I find over the top is huge in Japan.
He's the first ever guy to win the New Japan Cup.
It's not even just what?
He's the first ever white person, the first ever non-Japanese person to win the New Japan Cup. He's the first ever gaijin. Yeah,
I thought you were going to.
No, not the title. No. Vader had that title. I think Flair had that title.
So not Flair, Hogan did.
Hogan had that title. But to win the New Japan Cup, he's the first gaijin to win that.
If you didn't know this, someone else who was not very big here, but was huge in New Japan, and actually was the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, Scott Norton.
That I did know. They love him over there.
Yep.
They love the big, beefy, burly American because we can come in and be bad guys. They love it to come in and for us to play as bad guy. I think one of the few to ever do it and to be a face was Hogan, just because that was Hogan.
Yeah,
Hogan was over as fuck. Yeah. But all the time, like when Flair came in, he was a bad guy.
And Scott Norton was always a great heel. He was never a good face. He could never be a good face, but he was always an amazing heel. But so that's my problem with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks.
You've made some fair points. I very much think that calling my one point that I would stick before we go to admission is calling them the poor man's Hardy Brothers is a huge disservice to the Young Bucks. That's the one thing we definitely do not agree on. I can agree on the amount of super kicks. I can agree they are absolute spot monkeys, but calling them the poor man's Hardy Brothers is a huge disservice to everything they've done for tag team wrestling over the last 10 to 12 years.
When one of the Young Bucks gets speared from someone else jumping off a ladder they're hanging. Hold on, no, let me finish.
Dude, Stadium Stampede.
While they're hanging from the title 20 feet above the ring and then get driven into the mat, then I'll start having some more respect for the Young Bucks.
Dude, a couple of those bumps during the Stadium Stampede match were worse than that 20-foot ladder bump. They went off the second level concourse through some tables, man.
I remember the match. I remember you were talking about when Jeff Hardy came back and stuff.
No, I'm talking about the Stadium Stampede match, the Elite versus the Inner Circle.
A year
ago.
I remember that one too. Yeah, I remember that one too. No, you're right, but that was a gimmick match, dude. I mean, yes, and
so is TLC. So is TLC's a fucking gimmick match.
It wasn't in a stadium though. I mean, come on.
We need to go to it. It wasn't in a stadium, so it's not.
Well, it's not like it's not like it was an open stadium.
What the hell?
That is a bad point.
No, I'm coming back to make that is a bad point. You're gonna tell me a TLC and a Stadium Stampede match are neither one of them are gimmick matches?
You're still talking about one match though. Hardy's had 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 TLC matches.
I mean, dude, I can point to a bunch of really great matches that the Elite and especially the Young Bucks have had. Their series with the Lucha Brothers, their series with the Lucha Brothers hold up anybody they do. Series with the Lucha Brothers, their series with FTR. They've done some great stuff FTR, with Top Flight.
Top Flight? Who is Top Flight? Remember,
Top Flight is Dante and Darius Martin. Well, whenever Darius isn't injured. Darius has been injured a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't know about Top Flight. I haven't gotten to see. I haven't gotten to see too much of Top Flight.
I mean, even Private Party. The matches they've had with Private Party. They did the very first Dynamite. They during the freaking Private Party eliminated the Young Bucks from that that tournament.
I'm just not a fan of the Young Bucks. I'm not
trying to change your mind. I'm just saying, like, they've had just as many great high caliber matches as the Hardys have. Like,
No,
I think honestly, calling them like and yeah, the TLC is absolutely a gimmick match. 100%.
Well, it is. I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, it's in an open arena where you're doing things all over the field. It's not taking place only in the ring like that.
I mean, the TLC matches never really only took place in the ring. They were all over the stadium, outside the ring, in the concourse.
Really
oh yeah, they would take it up and down the ramp, into the side, and into the crowd a bit. Like yeah.
I guess, but I don't.
I think you're splitting hairs at that. I think it's in a stadium, it's in the ring. I think you're splitting hairs.
Even if I concede that, it's still one match, and the Hardys have had.
And again, I can go through and show you so many matches.
Well, then I'll have to go back and watch some. But I'm not impressed with the Young Bucks at all. I'm not impressed with them.
I mean, I think
we could make a drinking game with super kicks, and we.
Oh
would be
nobody would
gone.
survive that.
Yes,
No.
So,
I mean, if the super kicks is the biggest thing, like if the super kicks turns you off that much, then I don't know that I'll ever be able to turn you on to the Young Bucks. Like, it's what they do. It's the Young Bucks.
Yeah,
it's what they do.
They super kick.
It's not all they do, but it is a big part. Like they were very vastly inspired by Shawn Michaels
and I think that's one of my other problems with the Young Bucks, though, is the move like the super kick that Shawn Michaels made.
I mean, if the super kick is your issue, like, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that. I can show you all the Young Bucks
over that, but it's a problem that
I
have with them that isn't going to go away. I can get past that and maybe get some respect for them if you show me the right matches, perhaps. But I'm not going to get past the super kicks. They super kick too fucking much.
I mean, I disagree, but I also understand where you're coming from.
I don't believe that you disagree with me. Shawn Michaels is your favorite guy, and they have taken his finisher and regulated it to a move that's done 6 times.
They don't do it nearly as good as he does.
It's a super kick. It doesn't matter.
Shawn Michaels does the super kick. Capital T, capital S, capital K.
Now you're
splitting
super kick too.
Now
Murk is splitting hairs.
If we're in a creator wrestler, all right, Shawn Michaels has the super kick. All right, the Young Bucks have Super Kick 2 and Super Kick 7.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it. There's still a Super Kick. Because they're using Super Kick 7. Now Murk is splitting hairs. So
yeah, my hairs are a hell of a lot thicker than your hairs. My hairs are a hell of a lot thicker than yours are. There's a long history
because the Young Bucks are using Super Kick 8 and not Super Kick 2.
Yes,
it's different.
There is a long history.
That is the same exact splitting hairs.
No, my hair is about this wide. His gimmick match is about this. No, listen. There's a long history of taking a wrestler's finishing maneuver and turning it into a regular maneuver. That's what the Young Bucks have done. That's what the Young Bucks have done.
Taking a maneuver is doing it one time a match, 2 times tops.
No. It's like a toe kick.
No, it's not.
They're using the toe kick version of the super kick.
Now we've gone from, he's not just using the super kick, now he's using a toe kick. No, now you're on a whole different wrestling maneuver.
We need to take an intermission.
Before we get to Creator Wrestler, before we load up the game so that I can point out how they're different maneuvers. Super Kick 7 is not Super Kick 2. Shawn Michaels uses Super Kick 2, but it's all Super Kick.
But it's different, all right? Because only Super Kick 2 does red damage to the head.
No.
The others do yellow damage.
No.
There's a difference.
Now he's splitting hairs.
And
now that we've both
split
split hairs to finish the first segment, we
need to take an intermission, throw it off to Tori.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about a few more things, but I wanted to show a small little piece of the episode that I shot with Tori.
Of the wise Tori, who is rightfully a Young Bucks and Kenny Omega's fan.
And her Hardy Boys are her number 1 on her top 5 tag team list.
Well, I mean, they should be number 1 on pretty much everybody's top 5 tag team list.
I have the LOD. But that's okay because there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, I'm going to show you a small clip of it so that it'll make you interested. Go check out their full episode, which is on our channel, on Rumble, on YouTube. Find it. And we'll be right back.
Find it!
Yes, find it now, and we'll be back in just a few moments. So what was your thinking in choosing the Hardys over the Dudleys then?
Okay, so here's my point. You can be as good of a wrestler all day as you can be, but no one's going to really care if you don't have some personality with you. So that's what made me pick the Hardys over the Dudley Boys, is because while the Dudley Boys are great, they don't really have anything to say, really. And the Hardys, they have so many gimmicks, and they are mostly all great. And yeah. And I know that they aren't the best now, but I mean, they're still legends, so you gotta give them respect.
I mean, they're still getting it done. They're still getting it done in AEW. Jeff Hardy's still doing some crazy stuff. I'm not happy about the Hardy Boys talking Sting into jumping off,
Yeah.
the openings and stuff in the arenas. I saw that. I said, "What are you doing? Do you know how old you are?"
Yep, me too.
I couldn't believe I saw Sting jump off that. But yeah, so I think they're a bad influence on Sting, the Hardy Boys. But other than that, they do have the gimmick. And they certainly have longevity at this point. I mean, they've been doing it now for 30 years. I mean, and that's crazy for what they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Tori has another fondness for Matt Hardy.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And this is stupid, but in a funny way. So, do you remember like the WWE like broken era of Matt Hardy?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you remember his match against like Bray Wyatt outside or whatever?
I don't think I ever saw it, but I know that he did a thing with him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a part in that match that always makes me laugh, and it's he gets in a wheelchair and he calls it the chair of wheels. Ah.
Okay. So a little personal thing there. That's why maybe Matt you like Matt a little more than anything else. That's fine. I mean, Jeff. I mean, I like Matt. I think Matt's a great performer. I think Jeff's the more charismatic. Not on the mic necessarily. Jeff's never been a mic guy. Matt's definitely got the mic skills, but Jeff Hardy can do more spectacular stuff in the ring than Matt at least does.
Yeah.
Would you like to share your top 5 with us?
I could put together a quick top 5 for you. All right, I hope you enjoyed that clip of the episode where Tori came on. Make sure you go check that out. It's on our channels. I'm getting, the Mayhem Media, I forgot. The Mayhem Media YouTube channel is updated. And so is our Rumble, so you can find us YouTube or Rumble. I have not started posting them on Facebook yet. I will be doing that in the next couple of weeks as well, so you can find us wherever.
Oh, yeah. The cream of the crop.
Yep. And now we're going to move on. We're going to talk about the rumored... We actually have... we know what the new titles that AEW was planning to debut. We talked about it on our last episode, but we didn't have too much information.
Well,
except for the trios tag titles. That's what we talked about last time.
We still don't have a whole lot of information. The only thing we know for sure is that TK, Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, did have a trios tag belt set made.
Yes.
He has the belts.
Yes.
The thoughts around the wrestling community is that he was waiting on Kenny Omega to get back so that the Elite could be the first champions. Since they were not able to be... The Elite wasn't the first world champion. They were not the first world tag team champions. The Elite kind of wanted to be the first trios tag title. Because they've been doing a lot for the trios matches in the indies like we just spoke about.
Yeah.
I can understand that. But then you start working about AEW's bad. It's looking more and more like AEW's coming down with a bad case of too many belts-itis.
Yeah, belt-itis, yes. The other rumored belts, because there are 3. The rumor is that Tony Khan has 3 championships that he's going to be debuting whenever he feels like debuting them.
And I have to hope at least
the trios tag titles is the one that has the most. That's pretty much.
Those
set.
Are pretty much confirmed.
Yeah,
like there's
Tony
people
Khan, TK himself confirmed that he
has the belts. Yes.
So we can assume that that's one of them. He didn't just make them for show. The other ones that are rumored, though, is a set of mixed tag titles that they want to bring into AEW. Because which is it? Who is it?
AAA. AAA has a set of mixed tags.
Yeah,
and it's Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti right now.
Ty Conti, who the entire wrestling world just hates with an unbelievable passion. And honestly, without that heat, I don't know that Sammy Guevara is maintaining his status. I don't think he's very good on the mic. I think without Christian, I think he maybe separated from Jericho a little too soon.
Yeah,
a little too soon. I think for him to have broken away from Jericho,
he needed to learn a bit from Jericho.
I think he could have benefited by spending some more time with him. But
very much agree. But we are where we are.
The other rumored is potentially a women's tag titles. They are getting more. They've been increasing their women's roster, and Merck and I have talked about how the AEW roster seems to be getting more bloated. But we didn't specify at the time, but I'd like to do that now. We're talking more, I think, about the men's roster becoming more bloated. I think the women's roster still has a little bit more room that they could bring in some more people.
I don't think their women's roster is strong enough for a set of tag belts yet. I think you need... not strong enough. It's a very strong... I don't think it's a big enough roster yet for a set of tag belts. You don't have a whole lot of women tag team right now.
If the...
Like, Ivelisse and Diamante is the only one that's, like, really coming to my mind.
Well, Britt Baker's got her little stable of 3. You could have her 2 people be the tag team. And
and Jade Cargill and Red Velvet have been working together.
Yeah, they've been starting to get some women's stables together too, which I love. I love that we're getting women's stables.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And I think, and also that would go along with. I mean, if they get Naomi, not that they knew this beforehand, but if Naomi and Sasha Banks are coming to the AEW, debuting them for a women's tag title tournament. Might not be out of the question, or if you bring the belts out, bringing them in for just a straight up title shot, which I hope they wouldn't win.
But see, it's just too much at this point. You have the world title, you have the TNT title, the TBS title, you have the tag team title belts, then you have the trios belt, then you have the Ring of Honor world title, the Ring of Honor TV title, the Ring of Honor tag belts, and the Ring of Honor women's belt, and the AEW women's belt. That is 11 belts that they are regularly defending on television right now. 12 if you count the FTW belt.
Oh, and 13 because of the Pure Championship.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
They just crowned the Pure Champion on AEW TV.
So and they're all defending these belts on AEW television. Like if Ring of Honor doesn't get their own thing here,
I say they have till the end of the year.
Yeah, I would say even sooner than that. I would say October, November.
No, the deal. We need to hear word of a deal before then. But I could see they're not starting it until the end of the year or even early next year.
Even if it's just they run a couple of shows under the Ring of Honor name, like they run a couple of indie shows or they run a couple of weekend festivals somewhere under the Ring of Honor name. They need to do something with the Ring of Honor name to keep it Ring of Honor. Otherwise, you're just defending more AEW belts.
Yeah,
or else you're just defending the AEW presents Ring of Honor World Championship. And you're defending all these belts on TV, and it is quickly looking like a case of too many belts-itis. If they don't do something with the Ring of Honor brand very quickly, something separate from the AEW brand very quickly, they either need to drop those belts and stop defending them on AEW television, or it's just going to become 12 belts in AEW, which is insane.
I don't think there's anything wrong with AEW defending Ring of Honor belts on their television or AAA championships on their television. WCW used to do the same thing sometimes, but the problem is Ring of Honor needs its own. It needs to be its own company. If it's not its own company, then like Merck just said, they're just additional AEW belts. At least the AAA belts that FTR...
They're for AAA.
That FTR is carrying around, they're still defending them at AAA shows.
Yes, they're going to AAA shows, they're doing AAA stuff, they're doing AAA TV. They're just also defending their AAA belts on AEW every now and then. That's fine. I got no beef with any of that. That's
absolutely. I love it.
No.
Bring it.
Love it. Bring it in all the time.
Showcase some other talent.
Absolutely. The Ring of Honor stuff is where you start getting plugged up because they haven't done a show since the last one that was all under the contracts. Nobody knows exactly what TK's vision for Ring of Honor is at this point.
Yep.
We need to know what's going on with the organization, with the company, with the brand Ring of Honor.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's
time to start. It's time to start having Ring of Honor tag champions versus AEW tag champions
for belt unifications. Yes, I think that's how you do it. I think that's how you have to do it. I think you have to bring everybody in. You unify the belts. You bring Mercedes Martinez in.
And there's nothing wrong with TK grabbing Ring of Honor strictly for the content that Ring of Honor already has.
I mean, and it's always a brand. You can always bring it back when they're ready. But right now, I think he's got to focus on the AEW brand. I think unless he expands his office as much as he has expanded his roster, and they have the money for it. The Khans are billionaires with a B. They've got more money than Vince. The people on Twitter be like, oh, AEW going out of business, AEW. Even if AEW ever did lose its TV contract, Tony Khan's not letting AEW go out of business. We just might have to find a new TV dealer.
Based on what we've seen from AEW, even if, for whatever reason, Time Warner wants them off of their television someone is going to pick them up. AEW is increasing in ratings.
Warner Media is signing an even bigger and more lucrative deal with AEW.
Yeah,
like,
see,
they want to increase things. Like, they signed for the Rampage. They want to have a streaming deal to put it on HBO Max so that they can have wrestling on HBO Max. Like Peacock has WWE on Peacock.
Yeah.
Like, Warner Media wants to deepen this relationship.
Wrestling is coming, is making it's back.
Profitable.
It is officially back as a business. It's no longer just Vince McMahon putting on whatever he wants because there's no other company that can compete with him because there aren't enough fans or enough people. Like, there was Tony Khan put together AEW, and he did it with a lot of good people who were in the indies, with people who didn't want to be in WWE anymore. And when you have a monopoly like Vince McMahon has had, you run into the problems that they now have. And unless they do something...
I mean, and the whole future just has exploded. Stephanie McMahon's no longer with the company. Shane's no longer with the company. Triple H is reportedly like...
He's still recovering. I mean, he's back in the gym. He's doing much better, but he's still recovering
also,
from the
apparently, he's back in the office, too. Apparently,
he's
like trying to come back, and he's the head of talent scouting again and stuff like that. But, like,
he's not talent back scouting. That's a demotion
or something. I have to look it up exactly what, but he's like the head of talent acquisition and moving for like he's the head of their new whatever, like WWE Next. It's not NXT, it's like WWE Next, NEXT.
Okay.
And apparently that's I don't know. They're going to focus on going after and recruiting college athletes or something. I don't know. I read like a small blurb article about it.
Well, they're really trying.
But apparently Triple H is like back to working in the office and he's resumed some of his duties there. But Stephanie is straight up pieced out. Nobody's really saying anything about that, which is really honestly concerning. The fact that nothing is getting out and nobody's saying anything about it has got a lot of people in the international wrestling community very concerned. Like that it might be a medical issue or that there might be something wrong.
Yeah.
She just pieced out very, very quickly. There are some who are saying it's because of the Sasha and Naomi thing, you know, that they left and that she was left in solidarity with them.
I heard the opposite. I heard maybe that's why Sasha and Naomi left because Stephanie left.
So maybe 6 of one, half dozen of the other until somebody talks.
Yes.
That's the thing. Nobody's talking. Stephanie has said nothing except the official press release. Naomi and Sasha Banks have said nothing. Like, it's... until we get some, reports, until we start talking to people, we don't really freaking know, and that's the way it goes in wrestling sometimes.
Yeah. Now I wanted to the other rumored belts. I wanted to bring them up right quick. I did see a story that had a rumor that they might be possibly bringing a cruiser or lightweight division title in.
I don't think that's necessary.
I don't really think that's necessary.
The TNT title fills that hole very nicely.
And wrestling has really kind of shifted
away from
the
the weights,
10 years,
away from cruiserweight, heavyweight, super heavyweight,
lightweight. It's not only about the big guy anymore. Like wrestling has changed. So it's now about the medium-sized guy. CM Punk,
who's not the biggest guy in the world, is going up against the world champion and could possibly win the belt.
And Hangman Page is not the biggest guy in the world. Jericho's not the biggest guy in the world. Moxley, the AEW has not had a big man champion yet.
That's very true. Brody Lee, if you count the TNT title. Brody Lee was a big
the world champion.
Yeah, true. Very true.
And Brody Lee, I think, would have been the world champion.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the Dark Order would have been the dominant faction. I would have loved to have seen where that was going to go.
Rest in peace, Brody.
And of course, the other rumor is that the winners of the Owen Hart tournament are not getting trophies; they're going to get belts.
See, this is the. I first heard about this before we recorded. You told me about this, and this is. I'm not 100% sure how I feel on this. I don't think that if they do win it, it should be defended. It should not be a belt that's like defended. Mm-hmm. It's just like a trophy, but it's a belt.
Yes, I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, because if it's another belt, if they just have like the Owen Hart belt, like I don't know how I feel about that. This tournament was supposed to be like a special thing to promote the Owen Hart, the Owen Hart Foundation, to honor the memory of Owen Hart, to honor the rest of the Hart family and Martha and the Owen Hart Foundation, and to bring shine a light on the great work that the Owen Hart Foundation does. And I think to make a belt out of that is defended regularly.
That's defended. That's if it's a trophy belt, if it's a belt that's in place of a trophy, then it's fine. And as I was saying to Merck, if I'm Tony Khan is a wrestling fan. If I'm in a meeting and we're talking about this tournament, I could see myself saying, wait, instead of giving them trophies, why don't we just give them a belt? This is wrestling. We don't give out trophies here. We give out belts. We give out titles. Why not just give them out in like an honorary Owen Hart tournament championship.
Tony Khan has already kind of shown that inclination. I mean, he does the Dynamite Doesn't Ring once a year.
Which I also like. That WCW did that for, I think, almost 5 years or so before they actually stopped doing it. The Battle Bowl. That's what it was called when WCW did it, the Battle Bowl, and then it was for a ring.
The Dynamite Doesn't Ring is very much going strong. Which is Max has got it 3 years in a row.
I know, which I also think that's a no good. I get giving him a repeat winner. I'm an MJF fan. I get giving him a repeat on that tournament. I think making him a 3-time winner was a waste.
He goes to WWE.
That's why you just made somebody a three-time winner of a tournament that you hold yearly.
It's a battle royal. It's not a tournament.
Or a battle royal, and now he might not even be with the company. You're about to lose the only guy who's won this battle royal.
I mean, Tony Khan might open up the books. Max has said everywhere. He's been very, very open that in come 2024, it's all about who ponies up the most money. He's looking for a payday. He wants a big money payday, and he doesn't care if it's the check says Vincent Kennedy McMahon or if it says Tony Khan.
Well, I'm an MJF fan, but that makes me lose a tiny bit of respect for him. I mean, I get it.
Stand him. I hope he goes to WWE.
I get it. If I was a wrestler,
I
hope
he follows Cody, because him and Cody, non-kayfabe in real life, him and Cody are best friends. I hope he follows Cody. I want him to follow Cody so that I don't see MJF anymore. I hate MJF. I hate MJF, not even to the point that he's a heel. I dislike him as a wrestler, as a performer. I don't think he's that great on the mic. He's not that great in the ring, and he never fucking wrestles.
I do. I will say that the fact that he does hardly wrestle is I'm not necessarily a fan of. But I like that I think he plays a good heel. I think he's one of the best heels that we've seen in a long time.
Mid. He's fucking mid.
Who's a better heel?
I mean,
yeah.
AEW has a severe lack of heels. Team Taz is kind of a heel, when they're doing their thing.
CM Punk has been telegraphing his heel turn.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. MJF is a good heel. I think he's the best. Not only is he the best heel that AEW likely has now, but
I don't think
he could
AEW
likely be
really
the best
has
heel in wrestling.
Besides MJF, I don't know if AEW really has classic heels and classic faces like that.
That's why I think MJF is so valuable. I think that's why he is so valuable because they don't have anybody else. MJF is their heel. He's their classic heel. Jericho. Well, no, because Jericho's reached that legendary status that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no matter what he does, he's going to get cheered.
They're going to keep singing his theme music.
They're not going to boo him. They might boo what he does, but they're not going to boo him. They're going to sing Judas.
Yep, they are. They're going to sing Judas. They're going to cheer him at the beginning, and then he'll say something, and then they'll boo him. But that's because like we've said before, kayfabe is dead, and the crowd knows that when he says something negative, they want him to boo.
Which is why I don't think you really get classic heels anymore.
MJF is a heel. He is a heel. He is your classic heel.
Long Island.
And he's good.
Long Island, New York.
Well, even Ric Flair, one of the best heels of all time, when he was in Charlotte, North Carolina, was cheered. Even a heel in their hometown always getting cheered. And that makes it good, though, because then you get to see a heel still act like a heel, but then get the pop from the crowd because that's what they want. They want him to be the heel because they know who he is. I think that's a unique thing. I like when that happens. Actually, I think that was one of the best thing.
That's one of the great things. That's one of the best work Max has ever done. Has been in Long Island, New York.
One of his best
promos,
segments.
Best spots.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Shame he
didn't fucking wrestle.
Yeah. Amazing job in Long Island though when they were wanted to cheer him.
I would be so much more on brand with Max if he just actually wrestled. He hasn't wrestled since the pay-per-view, and he won't wrestle until the pay-per-view. That's an entire month where all we've done is heard him talk and talk and talk, and he never fucking wrestles. I get that's part of his heel thing, but I'm over it. I'm over Max. I want him to leave AEW. I want him to go to WWE so that I don't have to see him anymore.
Damn, I don't even hate Kenny Omega that bad.
No, all right.
Let's be clear. I don't like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. All right, the Young Bucks, if they went to WWE, I might not give a crap. Kenny Omega, I think that would be a big loss for the AEW.
Kenny Omega he's never going to WWE.
But I think MJF would be a loss too. And see, you got to remember though, it's not just about is MJF do you want to keep him on your payroll? He is a big star in AEW. Do you want to lose him to the WWE? You've already lost Cody. Do you want to lose him?
MJF has never had to run that schedule. He's never had to run the schedule where he's got to wrestle 5 house shows in a week. MJF leaves and signs with WWE. He comes crawling back maybe a year later.
Maybe a year later?
He gets out of his contract as soon as he possibly can, comes crawling back to Tony Khan on his knees.
You think
MJF has never had to wrestle a schedule like the WWE performers put their people through. Never. Like, WWE still does house shows. AEW doesn't do house shows. They do Dynamite, they do Rampage. They do Dark and Elevation. You're damn sure Maxwell Jacob fucking Freeman's not wrestling on Rampage, Dark, or Elevation.
Yeah, they don't have it. He's going to be wrestling house shows and then wrestling for either Raw or SmackDown because of the brand separation.
Exactly. And he's going to be, like I said, Cody Rhodes has wrestled Seth Collins 20 times since he has joined it. You really think Maxwell Jacob Friedman's going to wrestle whoever they put him against 20 times at house shows all the time, and he's going to wrestle that many matches?
Yeah, that will be an adjustment for him.
Max is a spoiled little debutante. He thinks that as soon as he goes off to college, he's going to have everything he wants. WWE's the big time. He's going to get to college in the big WWE, and he's going to realize he's a little fucking pissant. And I hope it happens because I want to be there to watch it. I want to be there when Maxwell Jacob Freeman's music hits, and AEW when he comes back after he's been future endeavored. Once he gets future endeavored by the WWE, I'm going to be sitting here in AEW cackling as he comes back crawling into AEW because at that point he's nothing. At that point he's lost it all.
I think he has value. I think he has value as the classic heel. Something I think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks could also bring if they would just turn them heel.
I mean, Kenny Omega was a heel the entire time,
and that's what I mean. But and it was good, and it was good. I think
I don't know what you mean by like they should turn him heel. Like when he comes back,
he's not going to be a heel. No, he's not. Are you kidding me?
The Elite are still heels. Goodness. Like the Bucks are still heels.
Kenny Omega. Oh man, I would love if Kenny Omega came back as a heel.
No, he's going to get the crowd pop. Like
absolutely, of course he is. Of course he is.
He's going to get the crowd pop like the returning.
Of course
hero.
he is, and of course he's going to come back as a face. I could see him coming back as at this point. I mean, I think it would be better TV if you brought him back against the Undisputed All Elite than if you brought him back with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's where the Trios Tag Tournament goes.
Because they want him to be with the Young Bucks.
The Trios Tag Tournament ends with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Adam Cole and the Undisputed Elite.
But the Young Bucks are part of the Undisputed Elite. So you're saying
Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish and Adam Page are Adam Cole are the Undisputed Elite. Kenny Omega.
No, they're just undisputed.
I mean, they were undisputed in
but with
WWE.
The Young Bucks, that's why they're the Undisputed Elite.
Well, yes, but it's going to be the Undisputed Elite versus the Real Elite.
You think?
Yeah, that's how the Trios Tag Tournament ends, Gunner. I mean, if you're come on now.
So
I mean, that's exactly how the Trios Tag. They're already doing the.
So you don't think at that point though that the Young Bucks go with Kenny Omega? You don't think that they claim the All Elite and that Adam Cole and his team become just the Undisputed?
They become.
You don't think they separate it?
They can't be the Undisputed because they were already the Undisputed. The WWE or NXT or whatever owns that. They can't be the Undisputed.
They don't always own everything. The WWE, they own a lot of stuff, but not always everything. I mean, Cody Rhodes is back now. They don't own his music. When he comes back to AEW, isn't he going to still bring his music with him?
I mean, I guess we'll see.
But
Cody signed a very complicated contract, so I guess
I don't
we'll
believe
see.
that. I mean, I believe it was complicated. Don't get me wrong. I believe he signed a complicated contract.
It's going to be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks going under the Elite versus Adam Cole. And
asshole,
Bobby Fish.
Baby.
Yes, against asshole, baby. Bobby Fish.
Yeah, I know you don't like that.
Kyle O'Reilly.
You don't like that. I don't like Adam Cole.
I mean, I don't really care. I don't really feel either way about Adam Cole.
Oh, okay. I'm not.
I think the asshole baby thing is weird, but whatever. I honestly don't feel.
You don't think? I didn't hear. I've never heard him before. I heard him say that. Like when I first saw him in an AEW, and he would do it. I thought that's what the crowd was chanting. I thought he was a heel. I thought when he did that, that was the crowd. Heel. Yeah, but I thought it was them saying, because with the crowd, you can't always hear what the crowd's saying. So I thought they were chanting, asshole, baby. That's why I keep doing it, because that's what I thought initially they were saying.
They're saying his name.
Of course, that was also before I even knew his name. Like the first time I saw him, the announcers didn't announce who it was or anything, or at least not until he came down and did the whole thing. So I thought he was asshole baby. And that's what I'm going to keep calling him because I can.
I mean, you do you, homie.
Yes, exactly. I can.
I think that's
just
what
like you
we're
can hate MJF.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want him to go to WWE, so I don't have to see him anymore.
I'm gonna give Bobby Boucher a little shout out, and this is off the wrestling topic, but apparently the Cowboys might pick up Cam Newton and Deebo Samuel.
Why would Cam Newton do that to himself?
He wants paid.
Why would Cam Newton do that to himself, going to the worst team in the history of the NFL, but like by all measures, going to just an absolute shithole of a skunk nut of a team? Why you would do such a horrible thing for your career and for your family's future? I mean, who wants to live in Texas?
I would live in Texas. The Eagles wouldn't get Cam Newton. We are hooked on Jalen Hurts.
Love it.
No, I'm not convinced on Jalen Hurts. But football is for another episode at another time and date, not tonight's. It was just for wrestling. It's just he messaged me in the middle of the episode. I wanted to give him a shout out and then give a
Senor
little piece
Boucher, there you go.
Making
yourself on the main feed.
Yeah. Finally, you at least semi made it to an episode. You crazy sob. This has been a Mayhem original. Episode, Mayhem Media Productions.
About twice as long as we were originally planning.
As it always is. My co-host, the Master of Merc. I'm your host, JD. That's the end.
Good night, everybody.